Between the time when the oceans drank Atlantis and the rise of the sons of Arius, there was an age undreamed of. Let me tell you of the days of high adventure.
You're listening to TV Ate My Dinner. This is episode 6. My name is Sean, and I am sitting here with Brooks and Greg.
Hey, guys.
Hey, how's it going?
Tonight, we're going to be teaching you some valuable life lessons that we have learned from our many, many vast wasted hours watching adventure movies and playing adventure games, both video and role-playing.
That's right. We will be building up to that as our main topic.
But first,
I got a suggestion. You know what would make a good movie? And I know I'm going to have to explain myself here, but I really think they should make a movie of the Creature Commandos.
The Creature Commandos.
The Creature Commandos, back in DC Comics, used to do a comic book called Weird War Tales. And the Creature Commandos were a Frankenstein monster, a vampire, a werewolf, and Dr. Medusa was their scientist, and it was a Medusa lady. And they were all a super secret Allied Forces military unit fighting the Nazis in World War II.
Yikes.
Tell me that's not a formula for an awesome movie.
That's a formula for an awesomely bad movie.
Well, is there any other kind of awesome movie?
League of Extraordinary Gentlemen
Yeah, it
versus...
sounds a lot
exactly.
like that. Yeah.
But cooler.
With a platoon.
Yeah, exactly. Meet Saving Private Ryan.
Do they wear, like, fatigues and stuff?
Yeah, they wear uniforms and everything.
Oh, wow.
Is
Even
the-
the Medusa lady?
Yeah, it's the greatest thing in the world, man. She doesn't petrify people in it, but still.
Well, let's see if we can't get the ball rolling on that. Let's maybe talk to some people, because, you know, we're big, powerful movers and shakers.
Exactly. We're always coming up with ideas for you, Hollywood, and that's your new one. So get cracking on the Creature
start
Commando
calling us,
movie.
For goodness sake, man.
Man.
I don't know. Getting the rights from DC for that one might be tough.
Yeah, really. You might
That's
have
one
to
of their-
pry that
yeah.
out of their fingers.
They're like, wouldn't you prefer Batman or something? No, we want this.
We want Creature Commandos. Yeah, don't diddle around with us. We know what we want. You ain't dealing with Johnny Bananas here.
I don't want your Aquaman.
Yeah, that's no good to us.
Well, anyway, we're here today to talk about tips for adventuring.
We will talk about some tips for adventuring. That's true. And this is like anything. It could come from role-playing games. It could come from video games. It could come from movies, some adventure movies. There's all kinds of tips that you can get from these sources that may or may not apply to real life.
Well, adventuring can happen anywhere, anytime. You never know when you're going to end up in an adventure. You think those kids in Goonies knew they were headed for adventure?
That's true.
No, my
all
friend.
Roads,
It just happened.
all roads lead to adventure.
Is this another perfect 10 list?
This is a perfect 10 list I have compiled on adventuring tips, and it does revolve around things that you can learn from these sources. And this all comes from anybody who's been around people who play video games or play role-playing games has always heard the same line of crap from them, which is, you know, in the end of the world situation, if things get really bad, you know who would survive? The gamers. Because we've learned things that we know how to be resourceful. And so I'm going to try to back you guys up. I'm going to try to quantify that claim for you. And that way you, the audience, can decide if the gamers would, in fact. Because in my experience, they would not. I haven't met that many gamers that I would want to cling close to when it goes down. That's all I'm saying.
All right. Are we counting from 10 to 1? Is that how we
I do it from 10 to 1. In my opinion, this is not a countdown, though. They can appear in any order, because really this number 10 to me is like the number 1 adventuring rule of all time, which is
All right.
It is always a trap.
Bum, bum, bum.
And this is the adventuring variation of the gift horse principle that we discussed in a separate episode. The difference here is, in the gift horse principle, someone offers you something good. In this, you know from the beginning, it's like from the get-go, this is all wrong. Because in real life, you know, it doesn't happen in acts and chapters like stories do. So you don't have to wait to fight the big bad guy in real life. If something is going on that needs to be dealt with, you can deal with it from the minute it happens. You don't have to wait for the dramatically appropriate moment. So don't go to lunch with the guy that you know wants to kill you just to be polite. The eccentric duke who suddenly invites you to his secluded manor will probably try to eat you. The kindly old woman who offers you shelter from the storm is probably a witch trying to steal your still-beating heart. The wine is always poisoned, the women are always troubled, the Death Star is fully operational, and the magic ring is cursed. These are truths that you can learn from adventure movies, from adventure games. Don't do what you do in those situations. In real life, you know, take care of business as business occurs.
That's practically the same as my number 10, actually. I also have a perfect 10, incidentally. And my number 10 is almost identical. Isn't that creepy?
Interesting. It's like we're psychic blood brothers.
I'll go ahead and give mine because it's slightly different. Mine's a little more specific, but it says, if you see something of immense value in an empty chamber with nothing guarding it, be careful, because that's a setup for elaborate traps. Like Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark. At the beginning, he finds a golden statuette thingy. He lifts it up off its pedestal, and he triggers a trap that releases an enormous boulder that threatens to roll over him like a steamroller. Now, we all saw it coming, and yet he does it anyway. And by the way, answer me this, guys. What is up with these booby traps?
I was going to say that.
Think
One
about,
thing you can learn
Think
here.
about
Yeah,
how
that's-
massively inefficient that particular trap is. I mean, it's a one-time deal, right? One-time deal. When it's set off, you have to go find the boulder, which is like 20 feet tall and must weigh 100 tons. Then you got to roll it all the way back up that tunnel and put it back in its place. And then you got to hope that the statuette wasn't flattened alongside the thief, so you can set it and set the trap again. It's not very forward-minded, if you ask me. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that's really more of a revenge trap, because they're not really saving the idol. I mean, it would go right over it.
Yeah, you kill one thief, and you know, how many man-hours went into putting that trap up just to kill one thief?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And the next guy comes in, just takes it like it's nothing.
Yeah, like, oh, what's this? Weird. It's a boulder in the jungle. I just think that movies like The Mummy, too, any movie that has, like, the archaeological slant, they always have these booby traps that are amazingly elaborate.
That only kill the
with
first
things
guy.
swinging down from every direction and spears flying through the walls. And it just seems really difficult to set that stuff up when you
I
could
always
just do,
wondered,
like,
like-
a pitfall or something.
Well, in that particular scene in Indiana Jones, I always wondered what technology they used to be able to set a arrow off just by breaking a beam of light.
Yeah.
I know. I mean,
Exactly.
these guys are pretty advanced
And it lasts
to be living in
For
caves and stuff.
10,000 years. Like, they made it like 1,000,000 years ago, and it still works enough. Like, these poison-tipped darts still have potency after like 10,000 years. That's like the Goonies. It's like these pirates set up all these elaborate traps and blah, blah, blah. It's like out of rope and wood, and it's down in this dank,
know, man.
moist cave, and they still work.
I'm really impressed with booby trap technology. That's basically the essence of what I'm saying.
And the technology hasn't changed that much. It's like they're not tampering with a formula that works. They know what they got going for them. So I guess
How to
maybe
kill an archaeologist in 150 easy steps.
that's an addendum to this rule is, man, don't piss off the trap makers. If you can find one of those guys, become his best friend.
Okay, what's number 9?
My number 9 is their weapons become your weapons. Now, this is really more of a video game rule, but it applies in role-playing games too, and it certainly applies in movies. It's like, you hate it when the bad guys are better armed, but once they're dead, you get to take their stuff. So look on the bright side of being outmanned and outgunned. Outgunned means better spoils at the end of the fight, and outmanned means fewer people to split them with. Now, I've seen this played out lots of times. All you gotta do is outthink the guy with the bigger gun, and then you're the smarter guy with the bigger gun.
Yeah, Halo is a good example of this.
Oh yeah, video games really support it, because it's like you hate it when a guy comes running at you with a rocket launcher, but then after a second you're like, oh man, I'm gonna go slit that guy's throat, because then I have a rocket launcher. It brings out a real dark side of you, but it's a real practical side too. Because you're like, oh, because it's real optimistic and forward thinking towards being a winner. It's like, oh, because you're already thinking in the future. You're not thinking, oh man, I'm gonna get blown up. You're gonna think, oh, I got it. I'm on this. That's a good.
It's kind of like getting a chainsaw in Grand Theft Auto.
Oh, yeah.
It's like you get this feeling of glee about you when you get the chainsaw.
It's not even a
Here's
practical
a-
weapon. It's just horrible.
Just a quick aside about the video game weapon situation. Here's a question that I've always wondered, and I know it's more fun not to think about these things, but how do they carry all this stuff? You know, I'm like playing Halo. I've got a rocket launcher, I've got a shotgun, I've got 2 kinds of grenades, and Halo's better than most games about this. Most games, you can carry like 20 guns at a time and just cycle through them. And man, that's a lot of stuff. Just imagine carrying a rocket launcher and a flamethrower and a shotgun. If I were carrying a chainsaw, that'd be all I was carrying, because those things are heavy, man. Can you imagine?
Yeah, they buzz.
I might can handle a pistol too, but
Yeah.
I'm certainly not going to be carrying a rocket launcher in addition to the chainsaw.
Well, in real life, you wouldn't carry a chainsaw. That's a horribly impractical weapon. You wouldn't want that.
Maybe for the close quarters.
Even so, have you ever in real life used a chainsaw? Is the question?
No, man.
'Cause-
I ain't no kind of mountain man.
Well, I'm not a mountain man, but I've used a chainsaw before.
I've used a
Just
chainsaw.
starting a chainsaw is a labor. Like, I'd hate it if my life depended on it and I had to start a chainsaw. I'd much rather have an axe.
You got to have that motor oil too. You got to mix the motor oil with gas.
Yeah, because it's big and bulky, but a chainsaw's nothing if you don't have it. If you don't have it running, it's like it's not at all intimidating. You could be holding any large object at that point.
I like how Jason Voorhees is like an undead horror, and somehow he knows how to operate a chainsaw.
He can operate any machinery. What I like about
like I don't know how to operate a chainsaw, but he knows how.
And he
died as a kid. I mean, he was a little kid when he died, so it's not like he learned.
Every move, he was a little retarded kid. I'm sorry, but he was. He was brain damaged even as a child, and then he drowned supposedly. And then he comes back and he knows how to gut a guy, like to vivisect a dude with a weed whacker.
Maybe he went to mass murderer technical school. Or
Man, he just...
And a spear gun. He can operate a spear gun, too. I can't do that.
I guess it's like, have you ever seen that movie Demolition Man? Where they have those rehab programs where they teach him how to do these awful things while they're in cryo-freeze. It's like that.
Yeah.
He just came back with all these murder, death, kill abilities. His magical power is to kill anyone at any time with any object.
All right.
Number 8.
8.
Well, there's dead, and there's dead. Now, in the world of adventuring, death is commonplace. So much so that you may find yourself dying several times. The secret is knowing the difference between death and permanent death. Most deaths can be reversed, up to and including beheadings. Disintegration, being wiped from existence, or being wiped from the history of time, those are a little bit more definite. Well, I'm not sure there's a lesson here that applies to real life at all. But I guess that in the Jason Voorhees sense, this would be the better be sure rule. This applies more to the other guy. Just because they look dead doesn't mean they are.
Yeah, it's a trick. Get an axe.
Exactly. This is the psychic blood brother thing. I actually have that written in quotes right here. That line.
What? Oh, it's a trick. Get an axe.
Because that is exactly what's going on here.
Well, all nerds would instantly recognize
because
that.
Ash was the first horror hero that didn't just walk away and drop his weapon.
Let's put that on a T-shirt and walk around with it. I think that would be fun.
Oh yeah,
that's a good T-shirt.
Well, I think that's a lesson that you can take from anything. It's like as soon as he gets the bad guy down, he dismembers him because that's it. He knows that's going to stop him. And just to make sure,
he's been around enough to know what needs to be done. Yeah.
That's what makes those movies cool. Is that he's the first horror hero to catch on. That's the way it works. And that's the guy to watch.
That's a good life lesson, because just the other day I was fighting this guy and we were locked into mortal combat. And I got a rear naked choke on him and choked him out, and he went limp. And I let him go. I'm like, okay, fight's over.
Did you say a rear naked choke?
Yes,
what were you doing?
It's a real thing.
Were you guys
I don't want to get into it. He was fighting me off.
Yeah, really. I got behind him butt naked.
Anyway, I thought he was dead.
It was real hard to get hold of him because we were all greased up.
Like
I turned my back on him.
Transporter. This is like the Jason Statham movies all over again. Am I supposed to be turned on right now? I'm so confused.
This conversation is over. Number 7.
Number 7.
Okay,
this one's for you, bro. Play by your rules, not theirs. When you're behind someone doing a rear naked check hold on them, whatever.
Choke.
Whatever.
What a check hold. What is that?
When you're grabbing someone's junk from behind.
Whoa.
Well, hell, I don't know how you fight. Anyway, don't do something just to see how it plays out. You know, in gaming and all this stuff, you're locked into a series of rules that sometimes you can deviate from and sometimes you can't. In video games, you really can't so much because they define them for you. But in role-playing, you have more room. But most of the time, you find yourself doing something because if you don't do it, there's no story. But what happens in those games when you do it? People die. Sometimes you. So just try to remember that in real life, that's not the same rule. If something bad is going on, you don't have to stick around just to see how it ends. You can be gone. I used to play Dungeons and Dragons.
Where's the fun in that?
Well, exactly. Well, there can be fun in going the other way on it. Because I remember when we used to play Dungeons and Dragons, we had a game start out where the guy running the game is like, okay, so you hear there's a monster down in the sewer, and you're going down there. It's like, whoa, we're doing what? Why? He's like, well, there's a monster down there. It's like, if someone told you right now in real life there was a monster in the sewer, would you go? I don't even want to go to the sewer now, and there's no monsters down there. What are you talking about? Like, you have to haggle until, like, finally, oh, well, there's treasure. It's like, okay, give me something. I'm not just wandering around looking to wade and poop and try to fight things that are dangerous. Give me some backstory here. I'm having trouble imagining this.
Give me something I can take home to the wife. So when she's like, what are you doing in the sewer? Well, there was a monster. What? That's not good enough.
When I'm covered in crap, give me something that I can sell to say why I did
treasure.
that.
Oh.
Well, I understand if you're going for treasure. But don't tell me that you and your friends got drunk, heard there was a monster in the sewers, and crawled down there looking for it. What's the matter with you? Doesn't even make sense, man.
Divorce.
Yeah, we're over. Which is probably true if you go home to your wife and you start saying, yeah, we played a game where we pretended we were crawling through the sewer fighting monsters. Like, okay. I think we're down to number 6. And this is another sort of Evil Dead thing, because it's all about being the curious one. Just how bad do you really want to know what that noise was? I mean, bad enough to fight for or die for? Like, how bad a noise was it? How loud was it? What happens if you don't know what it was? I'll give you a perfect example of this in real life, because this is why I feel like when it goes down, I'll live and other people will die. So I'm hanging out with my roommate, and we hear a sound outside. It sounds just like a gunshot. And then, like 2 seconds later, another one, pop, pop, right after that. Like, oh yeah, that was a gunshot. That wasn't a backfire. That was firing back. That's the difference. And so he's like, that sounds like a gunfire. Like, yeah, it sure did. He walks to the window to check. Like, yeah, you die. Because you know what? Right here sitting in my chair away from the windows, I'm perfectly happy to say, yes, that was gunfire. And I will be damned if I go see who's shooting. Because it sounds like both sides have got it well in hand. They both got guns. Let them play it out. I'm not getting in the middle of that. Because that's the gaming rule again. Because if they both kill each other, then you can go outside and get guns. If it's the end of the world sort of scenario. And if it's...
And then the cops show up saying, what happened to the murder weapons? They find both of them in your house. Real life doesn't work the way
I was
games
saying if it was an end of the world thing. If it's not an end of the world, then just stay inside. And if you feel really concerned, call the cops.
If it's the end of the world, I'd be like under the bed.
That sounds like it should have been part of the plot twist episode. It was like, they find the guns in your house. I'm the killer.
All right. What's 6?
Number 5. We're down to 5. And this is really...
We're blowing through these things fast.
Oh, yeah, we're trucking.
Well, I've got 10 as well, so...
Well, you got 9 now.
Shut up.
This is really a scenario that you see played out in adventuring that you don't really see played out in real life. And I think in real life this is because bars are designed where they want customers. But in adventuring, you run into that "we don't like your kind around here" scenario.
Never fails. Every time I've ever been in a bar anywhere, I just, go to the bar. They come up to, we don't like.
A guy just comes sitting at your table. The next thing you know, everybody's breaking chairs over each other. Who hasn't seen that scenario played out?
Yeah,
man, it's like
all the time.
How do these places stay in business? You go to like the movie Roadhouse, for example,
where he acts like he has to hire Patrick Swayze to clean it up.
Yeah, they're breaking every chair in the place. You know how expensive chairs are? They're breaking all the glasses every night. This place can't stay in business for long. No way.
Really, from a practical perspective, you know how hard it is to break a chair? You can't just go around smashing chairs. Even if you smash a chair on the floor, it might not break. Especially if you hit a person.
They're breaking windows. And in the Old West movies, they're always shooting up the ceiling. I mean, eventually that ceiling would fall down if they turn it into Swiss cheese. And at the very least, it would leak.
I was thinking that when I was watching Tombstone one time, and they were in that theater, and they were shooting in the air. I was like, man, I mean, this guy must have roof leaks.
I know, people upstairs are going to be pissed. like, holy crap.
Yeah.
No wonder the rent was so low. This sucks. Well, the point about the bars is that, bars where everybody hates you are great if you're looking for trouble, but not so great for your health. In real life, look for warning signs in your bars, like a mechanical bull, an arm wrestling table, or gay bikers doing the tango. These are all red flags that this is not your place.
So you maybe.
Well, they might want to do a rear neck hold or whatever. What was that? A rear naked choke hold? If you feel out of place, you probably look out of place. And if you look out of place, you might find yourself face to face with a walrus man who's got the death sentence in 12 systems. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, they walk into a place and that place doesn't cut into droids. It's like, what a weird group to want to segregate.
Oh, Lord.
Just don't bump into anybody in a bar. Whatever you do, don't bump casually into somebody in the bar, because that's usually enough to say.
Well, see, that's in the movies, too. I've stepped all over people. I was at a place called the Cavalier Club, which had an arm wrestling table and a mechanical bull. It was a cowboy hat crowd, not my people at all. And I backed right into a dude. I practically walked right over him. And he didn't do anything. He wasn't happy. He didn't do anything.
He didn't break a pool stick or anything and try to beat you with it?
Exactly.
Because he knew you'd throw a rear naked choke on him.
Yeah, really. I think I'm going to need you to explain in greater detail what that move is before I attempt it on anyone.
Yeah. Just figure it out for yourself. I think that'd be more fun to watch.
The rear naked choke does sound like something that happens on Oz.
Well, maybe it does. I don't know.
Really, that doesn't sound like one of those Ultimate Fighting Championship things.
Yeah, well, that's what it is.
It sounds like a violation of every rule.
All right, so
All right.
That's the bar.
Down to number
that's the
4.
bar rule, I guess.
We're down to number 4. And number 4 states that you don't have to fight your way out of every situation. And this is something where movies and games and role-playing games will lie to you. But just run the numbers. If they don't add up, then just run. If movies and games have taught us anything, it's that full frontal assaults are rarely met with 100% success. Video games teach this rule as a perfect cautionary tale. You ever play a video game? The first time you just run right in because you're happy to be playing. And after you die like 9 times, you're like, I need a strategy. This isn't working.
Yeah, it's too bad life doesn't have a try again or restart feature.
Yeah, really. That's why you have to learn from these little simulations we've created.
That's right, because you only have one shot.
Yeah, I don't need to just run in like a fool on this. I need a plan.
All right, continuing on. Where are we? Number 3?
Yeah, we are down to number 3. And number 3 is a great... if you're a role-playing guy, this is the rule. 100 guys can kill anything. This is the cannon fodder stratagem. If you've ever played D&D where you got bored and everybody made like 20 characters for no reason, and you just march an army in somewhere to kill a dragon, you realize all it takes is one lucky shot. But that's this is a lesson, though, that really applies to both generals and foot soldiers. Because enough soldiers can overrun anything. They can overwhelm any obstacle. But, of course, most of them will die. But pure numbers against any one foe will work. I think number 2 is sort of an extension, a practical extension of number 3, because you don't want to be one of those foot soldiers that's part of an overwhelming force that almost all dies. So this is the herd survival strategy, which is just stay in the middle of the group. While you're exploring, the man in the lead tends to discover traps first, so don't be him. And stragglers are also picked off by natives and predators. But nothing hits the heart of a herd first. Just keep that in mind.
Well, I think you should just stay next to the hero. The hero is probably... Of course, he attracts the most danger because the cameras are all pointed at him. But
yeah, and he's not going to die. And if you can somehow be directly behind
just jump on his back and put him in a rear naked
people they get grabbed and have
just ride him the whole way.
Why do you keep bringing up the rear naked choke?
Because it's funny now.
Because now it's funny. Just because I have no concept of what this move is, so every time you say it, my mind conjures just this cornucopia of bizarre and unsettling images. It's like, oh no, what is a rear naked chokehold? I'm not gonna be able to sleep tonight. I'm gonna have to Google that before I go to bed, or I'm gonna have horrible dreams.
I'm sorry.
Oh man, this is a show for the ages.
Oh, this is a show for the ages under 5.
Yeah, that's more like it.
All right, number 1. The number 1 adventuring tip.
Number 1. Never say die. This is the Iron Eagle philosophy. If there's one thing that movies, TV, and games have taught me, it's the power of persistence. You never fully succeed at anything the first time, but all things are accomplished by those who put themselves to the hazard. Whether you're fighting the Russian mob, learning to scrub Paradise City, or just haggling a few extra experience points out of the Dungeon Master, the race goes to those who never quit.
Who just outlast the bad guys, I guess, is the key.
Outlast everyone. If everybody quits, then you win automatically.
So it's an endurance game. It's a war of attrition.
I think there's something to that. Now, I don't support the guys who waste time arguing over treasure and experience points and all that stuff, but I haven't played Dungeons and Dragons since I was in high school.
Liar.
So that probably doesn't happen anymore. Well, I mean, we did it as an exhibition. That doesn't count. But me and Brooks both actually did like a reunion, a return to Dungeons and Dragons.
A return to...
Yeah.
When did you do this?
It's in college.
Oh, I was off somewhere getting laid, I'm sure.
I know. You were probably just off building a model of that submarine from SeaQuest.
Shut up. That was a nice model, by the way. Still got that.
I was worried at first that all of Sean's tips would be the same as mine, but thankfully mine are relatively different, I think. So we'll blow through mine real quick too, and then we'll tally up and see what we've learned. All right?
Go for it.
All right.
Again with the delayed.
Yeah, knock it out.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
I have this
We're
I have this amazing
to-
ability to draw excitement out of people. I should be a politician or something.
We're just trying to. We didn't want to interrupt your momentum.
All right. Okay. My number 10, we've already gone over. It's the trap thing about the Indiana Jones and all that. You remember that from earlier in the show, right?
Yeah.
My number 9, here you go. If you're offered a drink by someone you don't trust, politely turn it down, as it is almost certain to be drugged.
It's a trap. This is the same rule.
This happens to
Never
Indy.
drink the wine.
This happens
No.
to Indy too, as well as to Sam Spade and the
And he
Maltese
was
Falcon.
dining with the bad guys. That was my whole rule.
And James Bond in Casino Royale. These guys are all tougher than you are, so don't try it.
Yeah. And they know it's the bad guy.
For real. And yet they do it. In fact, if possible, it's a good idea to build up an immunity to a number of poisons. This would have helped
Iocane
James
powder.
Bond, and it definitely was useful to the Dread Pirate Roberts, of course.
Now, James Bond doesn't need it because he always conveniently has the right anti-drug in his little kit. That's what killed me about that movie was that
He defibs himself. I still like it, though.
Oh, I
But
thought
that
that
did
was
show
awesome.
us-
that
side
one
of
scene
him.
to me was lame because it just so happens that he has anti-poison serum in his little James Bond kit in his car.
Well, he's James Bond, man. What do you expect? He has rockets and stuff in his car.
My criticism of that is if you're that resourceful to bring antidote with you, then don't drink the wine, man.
Well, that's
Like,
my
how
rule.
hard is that?
That's
you
the
knew
rule.
that someone's going to poison you. You brought antidote. So don't drink. That's the Miyagi-Do.
He did it as a cautionary tale so that we could learn. So now
He did
we
it
know
just
better.
to show them all what a badass he is.
Maybe the rules should be just BYOB.
Man, that's a good rule too. That is a really good one. Open your own water bottle, man. How hard is that? That's Miyagi-Do karate style there. Best defense, don't be there. You don't have to have the antidote if you don't drink the poison.
Okie dokie. Let's see. 10, 9. Number 8. If you end up in a car chase, and this is what we learned from adventure movies, feel free to drive as irresponsibly as possible. Because the worst possible thing, even if you end up in a spectacular crash, the worst thing that'll happen to you is a couple of scratches. Jason Bourne, I'm looking in your direction right now.
But you
Just
know The Rock? You ever seen
Pedal
that
to
movie
the
with
metal
Sean
and
Connery?
go. Yeah, exactly.
That's a good example of The Rock. They're smashing through buildings. He's going through windows.
Any action
They wreck
movie, man.
They wreck a trolley car.
You just floor it, and you take your hand off the wheel, and you don't even look where you're going. You turn around and start shooting out the back,
Yeah.
because you'll be
Exactly.
all right.
Give it to God, man. When that happens, just give it over to God.
Works every time. All right, number 7. If you have to fight somebody, insist upon doing it in a dramatic place, preferably with dangerous obstacles around, like plane propellers or a giant conveyor belt. Indy does this too, as do all the
Or a
Jedi.
whole lava planet.
Yeah, like exactly. Let me finish.
Jedis are the kings of this. They
Let
don't
me
even fight
finish!
somewhere.
That's what I was going to say. As do all the Jedi. Example, in Episode 1, Darth Maul attacks Qui-Gon in the desert, and Qui-Gon leaves instantly. He calls it off, saying,
Yeah, whatever.
they're going to wait till they meet later in the movie at a more dramatic place. You can almost picture them saying, there aren't enough bottomless chasms or lava flows here. Let's move this fight somewhere else, all right?
I'm going to need locale approval on this fight.
Yeah, this isn't working for me.
In that movie, in that scene where Obi-Wan keeps getting separated from Qui-Gon by this energy field, I always call that the plot device because that's all it's there for. The whole little energy field thing that keeps blocking Obi-Wan from getting to Qui-Gon and helping him against Darth Maul.
What do all these force fields and chasms even do?
What possible purpose could those bottomless chasms be? In the Emperor's Chamber in Jedi, is it really safe to have a bottomless pit that leads to some kind of reactor core in your throne room?
Not even a guardrail.
Well, it's, Jedi just dig that, man. That's what they want. They want something exciting. They don't want to be fighting out in the middle of nowhere. The only
They're
fight
in
that happens
danger,
like
man.
that is in Star Wars itself when Vader kills Obi-Wan. They're just in a room. After that, Lucas probably looked at that scene and said, man, we should have added a bottomless pit. That'd have made it so
That
much
wasn't
cooler.
dramatic at all.
See, wouldn't it be better? It'd be kind of a funny skit, like if two Jedi whipped out lightsabers and they're like in a room. It's like, wouldn't you rather like go over there to the edge of the building or something.
This just isn't working for me.
Leaning on the wall.
I'm just not motivated.
What's up, man? Did you see Lost last night or whatever? You want to go somewhere else? This feels weird to me.
All right, number 6. When in doubt, shoot a car or a barrel, as chances are pretty good
instantly.
that it will explode and take out a couple of bad guys. And this is related to Sean's a little bit. Also, if you're running out of bullets, it's easier, according to the movies, to just find a new gun instead of taking time to reload, like they do in The Matrix. Just grab another gun.
Yeah, guns are a lot cheaper than bullets.
That's actually, to me, even a cooler thing. There's something to me that's cool about shooting a gun and then just dropping it and getting. And
that's why they
another.
do it in the movies.
Yeah,
it
was
cool.
like, in the Matrix, they got the shotgun or whatever, and then you just cut to the shot of her boots, and the gun just falling on the ground. It's just
I love. I think it's in one of the Police Squad TV shows, or it might have been a Naked Gun, but I think it was in one of the Police Squads. I love it. There's a scene where they're in a shootout and they run out of ammo and they're like across the room from each other, so they just start throwing guns, and there's like an endless stream of them.
They
just pick
and then
guns
they have
out.
like a bucket full of empty guns.
Yeah, they just start throwing guns at each other. That's
that
awesome.
was Police Squad.
That's good.
There's
stuff.
a really good scene in A Better Tomorrow in the John Woo movie where the guy's planning a hit, so he starts planting all these guns everywhere.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
like the most realistic scene in an action movie everywhere, because he's got them everywhere. Like down in the fern, there's a gun. Down like over the doorway, he's put a gun. He's got 2 guns on him, like because he knows he's going to have to run, and these guns are going to run out.
So I guess we
don't
can
know why
just
he
assume
couldn't just carry a bunch of clips. Like
assume in other action movies
guns?
that the guy's always done that, and it's like, why are there guns everywhere? Well, before this happened, he came in and planted all these, just like in The Godfather, just to be careful.
But why not just a bunch of bullets? Like they act like guns are really cheap, and it's like printers.
Bullets are
where a printer's
expensive,
$20 and the ink is $50. They act like guns are that way too. Like, what are you kidding me? Bullets don't grow on trees. Guns grow on trees.
Well, you just don't want to take the time to put a new clip in. You just drop the gun, get you.
I know. You just need to pick up a new gun, and then if they keep chasing you, they'll probably just trip on all your discarded guns. That's the second part of the plan.
All right.
Just slip on all these guns.
Number 5. If the opportunity comes to jump out of a plane or a helicopter, don't hesitate, as you will have plenty of time during the slow motion fall to figure out your next move. And the helicopter is sure to explode the minute you leave it, just like in Team America.
Well, that's just, if that movie's not 100% realistic, then I just don't know what I'm talking about.
Then I'm not going to watch movies anymore. I give up after that.
I feel betrayed if that movie wasn't factually true in every way.
Number 4, this is my favorite one, and this is one from given to me by my friend Andrew, who is the singer for the awesome band Bell's Wake.
www.bellswake.com.
Gotta plug the band Bell's Wake. Anyway, this is a really good one. I thought he told me today. If you were friends with Jean-Claude Van Damme, avoid at all costs stepping into the ring, because if you do, you're sure to be killed so that Van Damme can avenge you.
This is the Rocky principle at work. This happened in Rocky.
Oh, the Apollo Creed syndrome?
Yeah, you don't want to be too close to Rocky or be his trainer.
Also happened to Harry Connick Jr. in Independence Day.
It's true. Never be the best friend of the top billed dude. Doesn't work out at all.
Because then you gotta die, man. You gotta go. He's gotta avenge somebody. Not gonna avenge the top lead girl.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to be the reason why he's full of revenge,
wrath,
hatred.
I'll just sit him down. If you are friends with an action star, then just try prepping them beforehand. It's like, get them mad on their own. It's like, dude,
that guy's
pumped?
He's been talking to your wife, man. I don't know. He's been making moves on your girl. I didn't want to say nothing because it ain't my place and all.
Yeah, I'm not going to get between you two. I know that's true no matter what happens.
But I did catch him giving her a rear naked choke.
Yeah.
So
she wasn't complaining.
All right,
you
number
might
3.
want to take it up with both of them.
Number 3. And this is an old one of mine, and Sean knows this. A rule I've lived by for years. Never, ever let a bad guy finish his tough guy line. Like if he says, "You've got 24 hours left to live, and 23 of them are already gone." Yeah. Try to knock him out somewhere around the 24 left to live part.
Throat punch instantly.
Just rear naked choke. Take him out.
Yeah, really.
All right, moving along. Number 2, and this is the Blade and or Jackie Chan rule. This is similar to what Sean said in one of his, but kind of the opposite take on it. I say don't be afraid to take on a large gang of henchmen, because it's in the Henchman Union rules that they can only attack one at a time. Most of the time perfectly positioning themselves for your backwards no-look fist.
Because they will not follow my rule. They'd win. 100 of them against Jackie Chan, he'd go down. But no, not only do they come one at a time, but they all go, yeah! Like, let him know.
And you don't have to worry about them using weapons either, especially guns, because it
I never
never
understood
happens.
this, because not only that, they all stand in a circle and like watch their buddy get the crap kicked out of them.
Yeah, get killed. They're like, okay, my turn to die. Who's next? Okay, Bill, you go next. And then Tony over here.
You got to appreciate their enthusiasm. Like, you'd think that last guy would just run. No, they keep coming.
That last guy's like, I've seen 12 of my companions killed, but I think I can do it.
Yeah, but you'd want to see every now and then, why doesn't the third guy run? You know what I mean? Like, after two guys, what does he think? He's like, oh, I've seen him kick the crap out of those guys. I know all his moves now. What's in his mind? Like, what's he really like, oh, that's it.
He probably
now,
tired
now
himself out killing those guys.
Yeah, he's done with the zero. It's time for the hero. He really thinks that's going to be his moment to shine.
All right. My number one is related to my number two. It's real short. It says, finally, as we learned from Blade and countless other movies, if you hear techno music and you're not in a dance club, get ready to fight, because it is on.
It's going down. That's it.
That's the Mortal Kombat principle at work, too. Mortal Kombat! Like, what?
Take them down.
Who's
Yeah,
talking?
definitely.
What?
Mortal Kombat, for real. That's
Really?
the worst mix of techno and fighting I've ever seen. I'm talking about the movie, not the game necessarily.
Yeah, but the movie.
They're out in some other dimension, and yet
And
there's still techno.
listening to techno. We must be holding this tournament on Crap World.
Well, that's just the perfect... Someone decided down the line somewhere that that's the music that's best for fighting. I disagree. I think that little drum thing they do in the Capoeira movie, what is it? What's that movie
the
called?
Jenga. That's only the strong,
Yeah,
man.
Only the strong.
Banana
That's the music. Yeah, that's the music I want to fight to.
That's awesome right there. You can't. There's no defense.
I love that movie just for his Nikes, man.
Oh my lord!
just for the the baggy
I love
pastel colored pants and
everything
high
about
top
that
tennis
movie.
shoes.
Banana way, chicka chicka. Capoeira, man. It's like on Karate Kid. It's like, if you do this right, no defense. It's like, okay, so if I just like send a wailing punch at someone, like just a drum string, there's no defense. That looks like the easiest thing in the world to defend against. I don't even understand. I just punch him a lot. Over and over. Just these wild, wide barrel punches. That's it. Crazy haymakers.
Easy.
That's Miyagi-Do.
He should have... See, if he had taught him a rear naked choke, all the fights would be over so much faster.
Exactly.
Instead of this
'Cause
little crane stance nonsense.
Exactly, because I'll tell you right
What
now.
is that?
If you just start positioning yourself for a rear naked choke, they're out. You'll win that one by default.
Sean would be tapping. He's like, fight over.
Yeah,
I quit.
Whoa.
Yeah, really.
As soon
you
as
start, like grabbing between somebody's legs, like trying to get behind them and grab between their legs.
When you just
There is no grabbing between the legs, Greg.
You just drop your pants and get behind the guy. Like, whoa, no rear naked choke. Okay, I give.
Oh, man.
I'll fight in the tournament, whatever. I don't want it.
Well, that's all I got.
That's as good a place as any to stop.
I hope we learned something other than the fact that they're afraid of a common choking move.
I want to know where does it get its name?
I think
and
it's
why
just...
is it so common to you, Brooks?
Exactly.
Well, you're saying like it's weird.
Maybe
man.
you've just been told it was common. Common at camp, maybe.
Yeah, really.
It's common in Ultimate Fighting. I'll say that.
common down at the Blue Oyster where you hang out.
Hey, you guys are the ones that go to bars that have arm wrestling tables.
I just went that one time, and that's why it was just that one time.
You should have plopped your arm down on that table and said, "Come on!
That would have been great.
Come
Because it
on!"
would have been over
That'd
in like
been awesome.
1 second.
I want
The
you!
same way.
What about him? No, I had him already. I want you!
Don't worry, I have this awesome thumb move where I just grab on their thumb. I learned this from Stallone, man.
There's a sketch we did. You guys should go check it out.
It's in the way that you use it.
You can. Sean has a Dark Crazy. His website has a YouTube page, and I believe the sketch that we shot back in college, where we kind of make fun of Over the Top.
Yeah, Over the Top is.
You can
is
go
on
check
there.
that out on the Dark Crazy YouTube
Dark
page.
Crazy channel. Yeah, go to DCTV. It's youtube.com/darkcrazy.
And you can see Sean in his prime. Back in his
You can
back
see
in his
me.
arm wrestling
I won
days.
the arm wrestling championship of the world. Feedback at tv8mydinner.com. I'll take
That's
all
back
challengers.
when he was an athlete, and you could see it too.
Just the arm. I just have one disproportionately large arm.
The long, luxurious hair.
In an effort to get some emails, I want to say this time, if we get 47 emails, 47, the 47th email, I will buy them a DVD. $20 limit, but I will buy a DVD. Because I want 47 emails this week.
I ain't buying you the Muppet Show DVD. That's $35.
Well, I'm not, because sure as the world, number 47 go like, I want the extremely rare Japanese version of Firefly, that's region 2 and it's cost $57.
Happy Meals all the way. The sky's the limit, baby.
All right. Do we have anything else to offer with the adventure advice? I know that there was more that I wanted to do, but I restrained myself to 10, so maybe we can do another episode just concentrating purely on things you learn from action movies, because there's a bunch of stuff I didn't do.
I do want to say a quick sad goodbye to Weekly World News. I know this is not related to what we were talking about, but in the news today, they announced that Weekly World News, which is the tabloid of choice from Home of Batboy, the tabloid that brought you Batboy, Jesus is coming in like 4 days, various things like that.
47 days.
On the 47th
they have announced
day of the 47th
that
year.
Weekly World News is no more. So
that sucks. I hadn't heard that.
Well, it wasn't selling. They were
people weren't actually buying the magazine; they were just reading it while they were waiting in line to check out.
like I did,
well,
like everyone else does. So we're all to blame for this.
I guess so. I've bought 3 issues of the Weekly World News in my whole life,
and then we wonder why it goes
but
down.
To be honest, all the good stuff was on the front. Those guys should just make posters and T-shirts.
If that newspaper had followed our rules, it might still be around. It's not paying attention. It's not listening. They probably got taken out by somebody.
Look at your market.
That was poisoned their drink or something. All right, guys. I think maybe we should get to the movies from the vault before we forget.
Well, I guess.
Do we have a movie?
We could do movies from the vault.
All right.
Movies from the vault.
I've got one if you don't want to use it.
You got one right now you want to talk about?
Yeah, I think one that's pertinent to this type of conversation.
Oh, we'll do that, yeah. Well, let's hear it.
Cloak and Dagger.
I remember that. Dabney Coleman.
That's right, man. Cloak and Dagger was a early 80s spy movie that essentially revolved around this kid who had an imaginary friend who was a spy. But the imaginary friend actually was his character in this role-playing game that he used to play. And, of course, everything gets all kind of serious because he ends up getting some secret plans that are real secret plans and
that are encoded inside a video game. Yeah. This is a total kid movie.
Yes. So Cloak and Dagger, kids. If you
wasn't that Henry Thomas in that movie?
I think so. I was trying to think.
Post E.T. Henry Thomas.
Man, I feel so
Post
bad.
E.T. I think
I've not seen any of these vault movies except for Remo Williams. I did see that, but I haven't seen Cloak and Dagger. I'm so uncool.
Check it out.
Well, it's a movie from the vault. That's why they're movies from the vault. These are not everyone's seen them. But I remember this when I was a kid when this movie came out.
Oh yeah, this was a big one.
Well, awesome. Good choice, man.
Came out probably about the same time as War Games and several of those types of things.
I wonder if this is out on DVD somewhere. Like sometimes I'll think of movies from the vault and they won't even be around.
I bet
somebody's
it is.
Like, well, we'll find out. I'm about to check Netflix right now. Let's see, Cloak and Dagger. Yes, it is. Cloak and Dagger, 1984, rated PG. It is Henry Thomas, and it's got the original movie poster for the year too. That was awesome.
Well, how cool! So people can Netflix this then.
Yeah, check it out.
All right.
Another. This is another TV Ate My Dinner pick.
All right, that one was from Greg. Good call. Good call. It's going to be tough for me to do one because I'm not as cool about movies as you guys
You haven't seen any movies.
I'll end up picking.
It's called Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, maybe you've heard of it.
I'm not sure.
Top Gun.
It's called Casablanca.
Independence Day. It's kind of a sleeper. Not many people know about it. Well, I think that's about it. We've run our course yet again. We've given you a couple tips, about 19 of them. I think
past our course.
Well, that's fine. I hope you guys had fun. Check out tv8mydinner.com for past episodes, and you can find future episodes there and learn a little bit more about us. You can also find us on MySpace. It's, MySpace.com/tv8mydinner?
TV Ate My Dinner. Yep.
And Sean's got a site called darkcrazy.com. You can go there. You'll find a lot of the perfect 10 lists like we did tonight. There's tons of them on his editorial page, and he takes submissions. So if you guys have a perfect 10, write one up, man. Send it in. Yeah, we may even do it on the show. That would be fun.
Short stories or poetry or whatever. Feedback at darkcrazy.com.
Yes, if
and
you
remember,
guys...
number 47, email number 47 gets a free DVD.
Well, thanks for listening, y'all. We'll see you next week. My name's Brooks.
I'm Sean.
I'm Greg.
And take it easy. Don't take any drinks from people you don't know.
What is best in life? The open steppe, fleet horse, falcons at your wrist, and wind in your hair. Wrong! Conan, what is best in life? To crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentation of their women. That is good.
Dark Crazy.com